Let's get down to business.
I think that there's definitely an argument to be had there about, triggers and routines and consequences for missing triggers and how you set up your routines. And if, something doesn't fit into your daily routines, even though on face value it might look simple, it actually becomes inherently difficult because it's abrasive against the routine that you're used to performing, right? So if you're not used to, let's use the supplement thing for example, right? If you're not in the routine of taking your daily supplements, let's say every morning when you wake up, you have your coffee or your, whatever beverage you have in the morning, you take your sups and that's part of your routine. If you're not in that routine, it inherently becomes difficult. It looks simple to take your fish oil every morning and your, whatever supplement stack you're taking daily. It looks simple, but because it's abrasive to the routine that you're used to performing.
But it's very easy
difficult
to start a routine though, man. You do it a couple of days in a row.
Absolutely.
It's not, so,
Absolutely.
what's stopping people from creating that routine?
There's definitely a reason that is tied to the consequences of not doing things, not being immediately visible. Or on the flip side, the consequences of doing things not being immediately visible. And let me give you an example, right? Let's take the meal and then the consequent meal prep as our example. By noting what you're consuming and figuring out your caloric intake and figuring out your macro intake and making changes to it and doing meal prep, you're not immediately going to see the results of that. And if you don't do it, you're not immediately not going to see the results of it, right? You said it took you 10 years to actually go, fuck, I need to pay some attention to my diet, right? With your sups, for example, this whole forgetting to take sups thing, if you do take your sups, just your daily ones, right? I'm not talking about your pre-workout that you have the transient, I'm talking about like your fish oils, your creatine, your hormonal supplements. They take a while to kick in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you are taking them, if you are doing the simple thing, there's no direct consequence. There's no immediate feedback.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, there's also no immediate feedback.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into it a lot, is these things are so simple, but because there's no immediate feedback in either direction of doing them or not doing them, even though they're simple, there's no real motivation to do them. But that being said, that over, a longer period of time, the benefits of taking something like a fish oil consistently or resilience consistently or those things that don't have that transient effect are going to have a positive effect.
Exactly.
You know that, but the feedback loop is too delayed, right?
Exactly.
And now this ties into what you were saying about it needs to be part of routine. It needs to be part of habit. Because there's no motivator on the consequential end of doing or not doing these things that are simple but not easy, you need to have some other way of motivating yourself to do it. You need to have some other way of having these simple but not easy tasks built into your daily routine. And that's why actually being aware and consciously setting the habits and routines that are going to support whatever goals you're trying to achieve over, a longer period of time becomes so important. The reason why they don't seem like they're that important, Swole, is because there's no immediate feedback.
Yeah,
loop.
100%.
Like if you do something, if you take a massive action, for example, that has a massive consequence immediately, you can see that, right? So in your mind, you think that that's important because the consequence is right there and often quite severe or quite significant in either direction. The problem with the basics is there is no immediate consequence. So in your mind, it's human nature to think that it's not important.
Not important. Yeah.
But they are the most important.
Yeah.
Over a sustained period of time.
Yeah.
Once again, because, like use manager KPI meetings, for example, right? You miss them 1 week, there's not really that big a consequence.
You miss them for a month.
You miss them Well, even if you miss them for a month, right? They get caught by the end of month managers meeting.
That's the thing.
But if you miss them every month for a year, you get to the end of the year and you go, fuck, this is a complete mess because no one knows what they're supposed to be doing. No 100%. One's being held accountable. But it's that feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
It's not immediate. There's no immediate consequence for doing or not doing. If you have a management KPI meeting, there's no positive feedback loop for doing it. It's not like you have a meeting, you hold somebody accountable and automatically shit turns around. It doesn't happen like that. No. And on the flip side, if you miss a meeting and you're not holding someone accountable, it's not like immediately they fall off the wagon straight away. Once again, it doesn't happen straight away. It's a delayed process. But you need to have the awareness that the shit adds up.
Yeah.
And it is going to have to be dealt with at some point. Either way. Yeah. Positively or negatively. You feel me on that? So
Definitely,
I think that's the first thing, is understanding why you have to build these habits and these routines around your work life, is because even that feedback, even though it's not immediate, it's going to happen. Yeah. It's just a delayed feedback loop. Yeah. Complexity is the enemy of execution. And you see this play out a lot, is often when you set things up that are either too difficult, too complex, or they're just not clear enough. There's just not enough clarity around them. They're just not simple enough. It immediately makes it more difficult to do.
Can you tell that to IKEA about their furniture?
But you can see how that plays out, right? Yeah. Like if the more simple you can make something, the more clear you can make something, the more easy it is to see how to execute, the easier it becomes to execute.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's a big part of it, is if you are having issues with completing the so to speak simple tasks that actually aren't simple, figure out how to get some clarity around them, figure out how to make them less complex, figure out this is exactly what I need to do, take some initiative and make it as easy as you possibly can to execute on. Yeah. As simple as you possibly can to execute on. Which takes me back to the very
first thing I said about planning though.
Yeah.
If you're not planning the KPI meetings, you're not planning. Yes, I did say planning your day, but it all comes down to planning.
100%. Thank you for tuning into this video. We hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to check out our latest upload and our recommended video, and be sure to subscribe to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads.